So our mantra is Musika. We say you have to secure a market first before you go into production. For one reason, if you produce something that does not have a buyer, you're bound to fail. And we have been emphasizing this for quite a long time to say you need to know who is your market, what are your market requirements, how big is your market, what's what's the least amount of price you're likely to get when you get to the market, and what's the highest amount you're likely to get from the market. So I'll take you through the local market trends and the price trends from the data that we currently have. So, but first of all, let's look at the annual demand or the volumes that the annual consumption volumes for sweet potato in Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe produces about 200,000 tons to 400,000 tons of sweet potatoes annually, and our consumption rate is about 380,000 tons. So if you look at the minimum or the lowest volume that we produce as a country and the demand volume, you see that there's a huge gap of about 100,000 tons of sweet potatoes that we need to produce, that new farmers can tap onto, or the current farmers can actually increase their capacity to cover the gap. If you look at 2020 to 2021, we produced around 400,000 tons of sweet potatoes, but that figure dropped by almost half from the 2021 season, 2020 to 2021 season to the 2021 to the 2022 season, which means there's a huge gap that farmers can actually tap into in terms of sweet potato production. Let's also look at the global trends just in a second, so that we can give a background, a perspective to this presentation. It's important that you follow through from the beginning to the end, because at the end, I'm going to highlight something that's very important using these global trends. The largest producers of sweet potatoes globally, there's China, Nigeria, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. You'd find that China is also the largest consumer of sweet potatoes. But if you look at the bulk of the countries that are producing sweet potatoes at a global level, you'd find that 3/4 of those countries are from Africa. This is very important, and you look at it at the end of this presentation. It's very important that you put this into perspective. And if you look at the largest consumers of sweet potatoes, you find out that China and the Asian Pacific countries are the largest consumers of sweet potatoes. Then if you look at the net exporters of sweet potatoes, Netherlands is one of the largest exporters of sweet potatoes, though it's also one of the markets for export sweet potatoes. Let's look at the market price trend, the local market price trend for sweet potato. So you find out that the highest amount of price you can get per 60 kg bag, though this 60 kg bag is just the volume. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's exactly 60 kg. So at Mbari Musika, the highest price you can get on a good day is $40 per the 60 kg bag. We normally call it a sasek. Those who usually send their produce to Mbari know this type of sale. And the least amount you can get is $10 per that sack. So depending on the time and depending on the supply and demand dynamics on the local market, these are your expected prices. So when you venture into the production of sweet potatoes, you need to know the time that you're producing it and the approximate price that you're going to get when you get to the market. This is important for cash flow and for cash flow projections, because if you don't know how much you're going to get, it means that you're going into production with just a superficial understanding of your market. Then when you go to the market, you cry foul and say, sweet potato aibadari, but that's not the case. You have to venture into production knowing exactly how much you're expected to get when you get to the market. So let's say your expected cash flow, which is the average, is $20 per 60 kg sack. You then now use this data to calculate the volume that you need to have for you to be able to have a profitable venture. Are you going for volume, or are you going for just quality? say you're growing your sweet potatoes between December and February, which means your average expected price is between $15 and $20, right? So you need to know the amount of sweet potatoes you need to grow for you to be able to have a profitable venture during that period of time. If you look at the data that we have on the slide, from the 1st of January 2021 to the 1st of January to the 31st of January 2022, you'd find out that the sweet potato price is usually high between September to February for two reasons. The first reason is less farmers grow sweet potatoes in winter, so we have a high price from September, and less farmers grow sweet potato from October due to low rainfall during that time, and less farmers having irrigation equipment and facilities to be able to irrigate their crop. So if you want to have that window where you can fetch prices of between $30 to $40, most likely you have your sweet potatoes ready from September to January. That's where you can fetch the highest price. So the last part of my presentation, I'd like to highlight on the value addition aspect. I'm sure Nyararo touched on that. You'd find that the global market value for sweet potato flour is approximately 820 million. And you'd find that from the global trends that I highlighted and shared with you earlier on, Africa produces the largest amount of sweet potatoes. And ironically, Africa is also the largest importer of wheat flour. However, producing sweet potatoes in Africa is the cost of production of sweet potatoes in Africa is actually lower than the cost of importing wheat flour. So I think this is an area that we really need to look into at a national level or even at a continent level. I'm sure Rwanda is spearheading a research in sweet potato flour, and I think as at a local level, we also need to venture into that, because there's a huge gap that we can fill in using sweet potato flour, given that our country is actually struggling to produce enough wheat to cover for our flour demands, hence we import from outside the country. I think this comes to the end of my presentation. For more information on agriculture price trends, you can simply send the word REG to our WhatsApp number that's showing on the screen, or you can alternatively visit our website on www.musikaanalytics.co.za. Here you can find all the market trends you want for free. You can also just receive these market price updates and trends directly to your WhatsApp without paying any cent. Just reach out to us using these platforms and you'll be set. Thank you so much.